Now, starchy carbs like bread, rice, pasta, and potatoes are some of the most comforting and affordable foods that form the basis or the backbone of many people's diets. However, people with diabetes are often told to avoid eating them, as eating them can worsen their condition by sending their blood sugar on a roller coaster ride. Now, the truth is, you cannot 100% completely eliminate this food from your diet, so it is really not sustainable for a very long time. But the good news is that you can still eat them without having any consequences if you know how. So in this video, I'm going to share some evidence-based actionable strategies that you can implement immediately to help flatten those post-meal blood glucose spike. So let's get into it. One of the most practical ways to implement this is by starting every carb meals like white rice and then pastas with a protein primer. Many people do not actually know about this, but it works perfectly, and in fact many clinicians are now recommending it for their patients. But the thing is, why does it work and how should you go about it? Now, protein, as you know, are not just nutrients, they also act as a buffer. So when you eat protein before eating carbohydrates, these proteins are going to go to your stomach directly, thereby slowing down the digestion of carbs and also slowing down their absorption of glucose into your bloodstream. So this mechanism actually helps flatten your blood glucose spike after eating that carbohydrate. And countless studies have proven this pattern of eating to be very effective. Now, there is a study that was published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, which basically involved 18 adults with type 2 diabetes. So the participants were divided into two groups: those that received whey protein before eating their meals and those who did not. Now, as you would expect, they found that those preloading 15 grams of whey protein 10 minutes before meals had 40% increase in their beta cells function. Now, the beta cell is a cell that is responsible for insulin secretion, which helps regulate your blood glucose level. Insulin is the hormone that helps regulate our blood glucose level, right? Now, there was a 16% reduction in post-meal blood glucose spike, which is very interesting. And along with that, there was also a 5.9-fold increase in endogenous GLP-1, which is basically a protein or a hormone that is involved in suppressing your appetite, in suppressing your hunger. So eating protein first is very important when it comes to managing your blood glucose level. Even if you are eating foods that are rich in carbs, just eat your protein first, and that is going to make a huge difference. So what you can really do is to choose your protein choice: eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu, lean chicken, or even protein shake. And then you are going to have it some minutes, like 10 to 15 minutes before eating your foods. By doing this, that is going to help flatten your blood glucose level. That is going to help prevent post-meal blood glucose spike, improving your insulin function while still eating your favorite carbohydrates. Now, the second thing you can do is to take advantage of this thing called the subsequent meal effect. Subsequent meal effect is a phenomenon where the composition of your first food influences the blood glucose response of your next meal, or whatever you eat for your breakfast influences the blood glucose response of your lunch for your dinner. So let's assume this situation. Let's say you eat a high carbohydrate meal for your breakfast, potatoes and mackerel. Then for your lunch, you eat also a high carbohydrate rich meal, rice and vegetables. Because your metabolism and your insulin are primed by your previous carbohydrate, potatoes, your blood glucose response of your next meal, of your lunch, is going to rise less. You're not going to have spikes because your body is ready for it. Your morning food, your potatoes, prepare your body for it. It prepares your body to handle carbs throughout the day. Now let's assume on the second day you had the same lunch, rice and vegetable, but for breakfast you had a very low carbs like sticks with butter and vegetable. In this scenario, the subsequent meal effect predict that your blood glucose is going to rise higher compared to the first day where you had a high carbohydrate rich meal for your breakfast. Now the reason is because when you eat your protein first, your body is not going to get prime. Your insulin is not going to get prime. So that is going to result in higher blood glucose level throughout the day or of your subsequent meal, because they do not align. So taking advantage of your subsequent meal effect is very, very important when it comes to glycemic control. However, this does not mean that you should be having excessive carbohydrate for breakfast, rather having a moderate balanced carbs. Now the third strategy which I considered very important is to eat your favorite carbs after retrogradation. So when you eat your carbohydrate after retrogradation, that is going to help prevent blood glucose spike. So what does this mean? So let's say you cook your carbohydrate, for example, let's say you cook rice, pastas, and then potatoes, and then you put it inside your fridge. The starch molecule of this carbohydrate, they are going to undergo modification. They are going to reassemble themselves into a more orderly structure that are resistant to enzymatic degradation. So they are going to form resistant starch that act more like a fiber. So when you eat this carbohydrate, they are not going to result in spikes. They are not going to affect your blood glucose level. So basically what you can do is to cook your rice. After cooking it, you are going to put it inside your fridge, maybe overnight. And then whenever you are ready to eat them, you are going to preheat them slightly, and that is going to improve your glycemic control. So you are still going to eat your favorite comforting carbs without having any consequences. And what's also interesting is that eating this form of carbs that has undergone retrogradation also helps improve your insulin sensitivity. They also helps improve your gut health, and they also helps lower your LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol. Alright, the fourth way, which is the last thing of the puzzle, is to move. You always have to move after eating. Now the reason why you are moving is that when you move, you are actually stimulating your large muscle, your skeletal muscle, which is actually one of the biggest glucose disposer in your body. So when you exercise, for example, studies have shown that engaging in 15 to 30 minutes of aerobic exercise after eating can actually help stimulate your muscle to take up glucose from your bloodstream for contraction. So movement, exercising after a meal is very important when it comes to preventing blood glucose spike. So when you eat rice, for example, when you eat bread, when you eat pastas or potatoes, after you finish eating them, you jog for a while, you move. That is going to help prevent blood glucose spike. That is going to help reduce all of those effects that comes with these carbs. All right. So if you have diabetes, you can certainly eat your favorite carbohydrate without having any consequences, without having any effects. So in summary, what you should do is to start with a protein preload, protein primer. Then if you can do that, that is also good. Now the second way is to take advantage of the subsequent meal effect or the second meal effect. Now the third way is to eat your carbohydrate after it has undergone retrogradation. And lastly is to move, which is to exercise. All right. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment below, and then thanks for watching.